6 emergency exits.
Hello, everybody. This is Ron, your captain speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in 6 hours and 58 minutes, so sit back and enjoy the ride. Okay.
Hell yeah, I like to travel. I like to travel, but I don't got a plan. Catch me rolling through your city, yeah. Got my toes in the sand.
I think I got some wanderlust, but I don't give a damn. Touching down on the asphalt, passport stamps, don't know in all lands.
Seven footers gang, what is up on this nice February 4th day?
I know it's like 59 degrees outside.
It's 59 degrees outside. It's a great time because the trade deadline is 48 hours away. We are less than 2 weeks, if that, away from All-Star Weekend.
Woo!
So it is a lot of fun happening here in these streets. But as we set it up, Jarod, the trade deadline is approaching.
Trade deadline, man. This is the time now, right, where teams are like, okay, we're one piece away, right?
Right, everybody's got that one glimmer of hope.
We're one piece away from being a true contender. Or
Yes.
you got those bottom-feeding teams like the Knicks, the Hawks, the Warriors, who
Talking
are like,
smack on
maybe
my
we
Knicks.
should start selling things because we're not that good.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting time, right? And, the worst place to be, of course, as we always say in the NBA, is in the middle, right? Like, you either want to be a contender for the chip or you want to be terrible so you get a high draft pick. Like, that middle of the road, kind of like no man's land out there,
Exactly. So trade deadline, 48 hours away. We have a lot to talk about because the tea is hot up in these NBA streets. I thought a lot of shit happened in the celebrity news world, but when you tune into the NBA gossip and you understand what's happening, it's one of the most intriguing things ever.
Well, especially because NBA Twitter, people just go nuts, right? You get all these fan bases who they're these people on the trade machine, okay, Robert Covington's going here for this person, and then this 3-team deal. It's all right, man, chill. You people with your amateur GM hats on, calm down. It's not. Let's slow it up. Listen.
Calling them out here. Okay?
And the other big thing too about this is the time of year where you're gonna hear rumors, right? It's rumor central. Everybody's talking to everybody. Also, people are feeding bad information, right?
Facts.
We work in media. People lie to us all the time and say, "Oh yeah, we're talking to this team about so and so." They're not, but they're just saying that to get the price driven up on something else, right? Everybody's got a means to some kind of end, right? So,
and the fun stuff too is, and you, I think, will understand this. Obviously, when you're in the media and there's certain terminology that's yeah, some people are talking about this, and this. That means they're not even close. Although the casual NBA fan will be like, oh my God, it's happening.
Yeah, no, it's not happening.
It's really not.
Right,
if they're in talks or thinking or discussing,
right,
it's really not happening.
And really,
most of the time.
Unless Woj is telling you, or Shams.
Up in your DMs like that, yeah. Up in your mentions and stuff, no. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the different rumors and things that we are hearing, because there are things we need to discuss. And particularly, I love this kind of chatter with you because you really give an inside perspective onto what these teams need dollar-wise, what's realistic and what's not. That's why I like talking to you about this, because you really do keep a realistic head on it, as opposed to some people that are like, I would love to see Steph Curry on the Heat. Well, what? Why? Where? When? What dollar amount? And how? So that's why I like chatting with you.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's get into it here. Let's talk a little bit about who is in the buying market. Who has money right now to actually make a big purchase on the NBA trade block?
So no one really has money per se. What some teams have is assets, like draft capital to trade, and salary to shed in order to absorb space. For example, the Miami Heat, right? they are right now one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Just blew out the Philadelphia 76ers the other night. Oh, don't worry. We're going to get to them 76ers at some point.
Jimmy Butler schooling the old team. Like it's a day
look,
at the park.
Every time Jimmy, plays them, he's really out for blood, right? So Miami's 34-15, 8 games behind Milwaukee. They're not going to catch Milwaukee, but they're only a game and a half behind Toronto for the 2 seed. So they could end up with that 2 seed. Like, that's how good Miami is, right? Now, I want to be clear and fair about something for Miami. Jimmy Butler, we know, can perform in the playoffs. We've seen that happen before.
That's what he thrives off.
Eric Spoelstra has won championships, so we know he can coach in the playoffs.
Yes.
As much as, and I'm giving these guys their flowers, Bam Adebayo, Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Herro, all these guys are playing real well. But, they haven't done squat in the playoffs yet. So let's pump our brakes before we start getting so amped on, like, Miami's going to, like, go to the title. Like, I'm not saying they can't perform. They just haven't done it yet.
And that's the thing that I think a lot of people forget to Kobe. He just threw something in a garbage can.
And by the way, both went in. Banked it off because it was two napkins. One went in the blue, one went in the black. See that?
Hey, talk about it. Talk about it. Now, that's another thing that I think people also forget too, is when you're talking about this kind of stuff, I mean, who can really, make an impact in the postseason? It's a very big difference. And I'm not just saying that lightly. Yeah. It is hard. Yeah. I mean, you have players that are extreme contenders. Their mentors are, higher up guys, veteran guys. But when it comes to the postseason, there is something about it. I don't know if it's the adrenaline, the pressure, whatever. The performance just isn't there.
The big thing for a team like the Heat is, okay, they are probably one piece away, right? What is that one piece? And the thing is, they can shed the Goran Dragic contract, right? That'll clear up some space. I think they need some more shooting, maybe a stretch for someone like Danilo Gallinari from the Oklahoma City Thunder. But the thing is, and we'll get to the Thunder at some point, I don't know what they're going to be doing. Like, are they just going to stand pat with what they got? Because remember, Oklahoma City has a ton of draft picks. Because remember, they got all that in the Paul George and Russell Westbrook trades. So they have tons of draft capital. And they'll have cap space next year, which doesn't really matter, but for the trade purposes. And they could shed that Steven Adams contract that they want. They could also shed the Andre Roberson $10.8 million expiring. So, look, they could do some things. But so for Miami, I'd love to see them get a guy who can shoot the 3 and play the 4, like a Danilo Gallinari. There ain't really that many stretch 4s that are just hanging out there available. Kevin Love, but like that contract is so big. I don't know. I mean, Danilo's contract's big too, but not as big as Kevin's.
And what about a Tristan Thompson? No? Nah,
because they already got Myers Leonard. Like, they got bigs. And they got Bam. Like, you know what I mean? I don't stretch 4s more because Bam will play their 5. Who's gonna be their stretch 4? I think they need shooting from the 3, and that's why I like Gallinari or possibly Kevin Love. But a lot of people talk about Chris Paul running the point guard.
He ain't looking to go anywhere fast.
Well, again, what does Miami have that Oklahoma City's going to want? And then we got to make the salaries match. So I think Miami's a buyer. I think a stretch 4 would be great for them. I think Denver's a buyer too. The Nuggets. Look, Michael Porter Jr., which favorite of this pod, he is clearly their future, and he is like their 6th man off the bench right now. So that's going to leave people like Malik Beasley kind of like the odd man out, right? And he declined his option, so he's going to be an unrestricted free agent this summer. Beasley's good. He's 6'4", 6'5", can play the wing, the 2 or the 3. He's someone that you can package together maybe. Maybe they get someone like Drew Holiday. They can play him next to Murray, off of Murray maybe. You move Gary Harris to the bench, or you move Harris entirely. Who knows? You go with a Harris-Jamal Murray backcourt.
You think really, for real, Drew Holiday?
Yeah. But, again, it's about does David Griffin want to move?
The thing with Drew Holiday is you base your entire team around this man.
I mean, Griffin was just saying that because he didn't want to put the pressure on Zion.
I know, but you're going out in the media. You're saying Drew Holiday is our guy. He's our guy, this and that. And then you have Zion who comes back and, performs incredibly. So are they ready to boot Drew out of...
And that's why I think because New Orleans can still make that run, Because New Orleans right now, let's see where they are record-wise. New Orleans is 20-30, right? So they're 10 games below 500, which is not great. But they're only 5 games back of the Grizzlies for that 8th spot. Now, I know 5 games sounds like a lot, but remember, as much as we love the Grizzlies, they're still young, right? Mm-hmm. So they're 500, 25, and 25. Between them, Portland, who we'll get to later, and San Antonio, and those teams can all make moves and go on 4 5-game win streaks or lose 5 out of the next 7. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just the nature of those teams in that cluster down there.
And you also mentioned Jamal Murray. We also forget that he is literally 22 years old.
Yes, which he needs time to develop. But again, so my point about New Orleans was, with them being there, I don't know that because Griff might be like, look, we might have a chance to make the playoffs. So he may not want to disrupt the apple cart at all and leave that the way it is.
Yeah. And also, too, side note, what I wanted to say before, Michael Porter Jr., we have not seen this man even peak.
Oh, my God.
Not even near.
He's not
even a taste or a glimpse.
No, we've gotten glimpses. He's like
But for real. Without being worried that he's going to break something on the way down.
I think we've seen 15% of what he could be.
Exactly.
Like, he's obviously 7-footer favorite. So we talked about New Orleans buying or selling. I think they're going to try to see if they can make this run for the playoffs with Zion back. So Griff may just stand pat with what he has. Because remember, beginning of the season, what we all talked about. Ooh, this squad is interesting. Mm-hmm. And if Zion, and now that he's here and Brandon Ingram's playing well, look, this team might just stay where they are. So I don't think New Orleans is going to buy or sell. They might just be, unless someone blows them away with something. An offer they can't, turn down. Right. Which, sure, it's always possible.
I mean, if everyone stays healthy and things are going as they seem,
right.
I think they can make a serious playoff run.
Sure, they can make a push towarurs that playoff game.
I definitely, because remember in the beginning of the season we were like, they are not even close.
But they're back now, and with Zion playing the way he is, and again, he's not even anywhere near his.
No.
I mean, he's not even in shape yet. Excuse me. So interesting.
Exactly. Another thing that's interesting, too, let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay? Now, they, like you just mentioned before, are in a very interesting trade spot because they have a lot of assets in their arsenal. A ton. So, I mean, it almost seems like the possibilities are endless with them a little bit. What do you believe, though, is the best option or route that they can take when it comes to the trade deadline if they're going to make a move?
So OKC's in the 7th seed right now. They're 30-20, 10 games above 500. They're probably locked in there. Although they're only a game behind Dallas and only a game and a half behind Houston, so they can make some moves. I think they're happy with Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander, Chris Paul, and Dennis Schroeder, right?
More happy than I ever thought they would be.
They love that 3-guard lineup. I've seen it up close. I love it. I think what they need, because right now there's a lot of they need a wing, right? Like, I mean, we could really be honest about this. They've needed a wing since they lost a 7-foot wing a few years ago, right? But a wing would be huge for this team. And again, they've got that Andre Roberson $10.8 million, I believe it is, expiring contract, 10.7.
Where's he at these days? How's he doing?
Not a whole lot.
Hanging out with people.
Yeah, don't say it. They got their draft picks. Could they get someone like Covington from Minnesota?
I like Covington.
We also mentioned Malik Beasley from Denver.
Yeah.
Could they get Beasley?
I like both of those choices.
Because right now, what they use right now is Ferguson, Hamidou Diallo, who I like, but
but there's a lot of room for a lot more talent there.
Can we upgrade that wing? Because if they upgrade that with someone a little bit better, hey, they can be a frisky little fun team in the playoffs.
I like that.
I mean, look, they ain't winning no championship, but
well, I mean, let's take baby steps here.
But they can, and which is good development for SGA. Because again, this is about if Oklahoma City is like, okay, we're gonna build around SGA in the future. This is a beautiful thing. And again, Steven Adams, they could do something with that contract. Move that, perhaps,
Little main course of Steven Adams with a little side of,
Yeah. He's a starting caliber defensive rim running center that, listen, teams could use.
And he has great experience, too.
Oh, he's played in Western Conference Finals before.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So you're not only getting the type of player that he is, you're getting a type of player that has played with the Westbrooks and everyone else on the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So
no doubt.
we can't forget that. Now, the next thing I want to talk to, because this is going to be a conversation that is echoed around the globe at this point. Rockets, Hawks, Timberwolves.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay.
78 teams.
Literally. Working on what we hear as a 3-team deal, possibly a fourth.
Yeah.
Now, D'Angelo Russell is such a hot commodity. I go on my Twitter this morning. It has to be at least 8:15. Your girl's sipping her coffee with a little bit extra shot of espresso. Who's trending other than D'Lo? I'm like, what's going on in the Bay? Okay, nothing exciting there these days. So why is everyone talking about D'Lo?
Because Minnesota has made it very clear that's someone they want.
Targeted him. Put his face on a target.
I mean,
and put it out there.
And if you're Golden State, I'm in no rush to trade him because you haven't even seen him play with Steph and Clay, right? I mean,
exactly. So you don't even know.
You don't even know how good that could be, and he's already putting up some of the best numbers of his career, and those dudes ain't even playing. So imagine what he could operate on in that offense with all that space he'll have on the floor because all the double teams that Steph and Clay command.
Exactly. And I hate to say this, as a random side note, but I hate to say this about, the Nets, but I feel like it wasn't a great space for D'Lo. I mean, that's probably not a secret,
well,
but
that's where he ascended, though.
100%. And I feel that's what he needed for him. But I feel as though from a mental standpoint, it wasn't the greatest space for him.
Maybe not, but
as for developmental standpoint, 100%. I think they did wonders for him. But what I'm saying is I think he's happier now.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially if he can, him and Kat are good friends, and
that slam cover, though.
So with this trade potentially, right, D'Lo would go to Minnesota, Covington would have to move. Covington may end up in Houston, which means Capella would go somewhere. Again, these salaries all have to match, and it's insane.
I do have to ask you to.
Wiggins will probably have to go too. Actually, now that I look at it.
Let me ask you though. I feel like this Clint Capella trade speculation hurts.
Hurts you?
Not me, but in general. I feel as though he gave a lot to the Rockets and they asked a lot of him.
I think
so.
Yeah, I think for Daryl,
I think it's heavy.
I think for Daryl, he thinks that he can get something to approximate Clint and pay that individual less money is what I think. And so I'm not sure. Look, Capella gets a bad rap. People always like, he's the, and he had a little bit of a down year last year and he's injured right now. But, Capella's good and a defensive-minded player and he can rim run. A change of scenery might do him some good. I
don't disagree.
He might excel in a new space. What might be happening now, though, is the Rockets may be looking at something where they're like, hey, we're going to do this whole we're going small thing all the time and not start anybody literally over 6'6". Have PJ Tucker play center like the whole time, which, I mean.
Not a bad center, though, if you're going to put a short guy in there. Not short, but smaller.
Cool, but I don't know how you're getting out of the Western Conference with that. That's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Look, the reality of the Rockets is, and we know this, and we say this all the time, but we'll say it again, they had their window. Their window was 2 years ago. They had the Kevin Durant-led Golden State Warriors down.
Mm-hmm.
They were 1 quarter away from the NBA Finals. They had it, right?
Facts. Straight facts.
That was their time.
Still haunts me.
And so now they're trying to how do we get back? How do we get back?
Mm-hmm.
And there's rumors about, hey, is Fertitta going to be cost-cutting? Although it's been reported that he said to Daryl that, whatever you got to spend to make it happen, make it happen. Look, let me be honest about something right now. Fertitta, so when you buy an NBA franchise,
mm-hmm.
the Board of Governors and the rules only allow you to borrow a certain amount of money. There's a limit that they let you borrow. In other words, you have to have a lot of the capital on your own, and then they only let you borrow. He borrowed the maximum they allowed, which tells me something. And again, I don't want to sound. I mean, he's obviously got more money than us, but he's leveraged out in his other businesses.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Because this dude's trying to figure out how do I cut costs around here. And I don't know. I don't know where they go. Plus, what is the future of the Rockets? Is D'Antoni back next year? Is Daryl Morey back next year?
D'Antoni has a question mark around him, especially because he significantly signed that only 1 year.
Right.
So
I think him and Morey, these guys are fighting for their lives because I think they might get all booted at the end of this year.
That's nerve-wracking.
Sure.
To say the least.
And this Rockets team, while I love when James Harden cooks and all that, they ain't that good right now. I mean, that good's relative.
Harden.
They're the 5 seed right now, 31-18. So look, they're going to make the playoffs, but what are they going to do in the playoffs?
The thing is with the Rockets, even by the way you just said it, they're not doing good right now, but they'll make the playoffs.
I mean,
but
they're 31-18, right?
Oh.
They're top 5 in the Western Conference. I mean, they're good.
No, 100%.
Are they a title contender?
I agree with that, but again, with your question, you should be a title contender. What is going on after
James
so
Harden
many years?
Yeah.
James Harden in his prime with the addition of Westbrook.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you make a strong playoff run? Or why are we even questioning it at this point? You were 1 quarter away, as we said, 27 missed threes. God damn it. But, I mean, geez, like, it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life.
It's going to haunt them for the
Literally,
rest of their lives.
I actually dream about basketball hoops just being bricked, like 100% because of them. Thank you.
Listen, these are your opportunities in this league. They're small, and when you don't capitalize on them, now you're sitting with a hefty tax bill, and you're like, okay, but it's okay to pay the luxury tax if we're going to advance far into the playoffs. But if we're getting smoked in round 1, or again, Fertitta, who's looking at it from a business standpoint, who I think is leveraged really high right now, is this really worth it? There might be some changes coming in Houston. So anyway, Houston will be part of and Shams and Woj were both reporting on that, saying that the details haven't been ironed out fully yet. Clearly. So, can they get under the luxury tax, right? That might be what they're trying to do.
No, exactly. And staying on this topic really quick, too, with the Rockets and the Hawks, John Collins.
Yeah.
And you know what surprises me about the rumors about the Hawks wanting to deal Collins so fast, despite him only playing, 25 games this season.
Yep.
He's still averaging a good amount of points. And not to mention, he is part of that young core that the Hawks built this type of rebuild on. So what are you doing? Are you getting rid of part of the young core and keeping Trey? Because obviously he's a gold mine.
You keep Trey, you obviously DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter. I think the fear is maybe Collins is going to want too much money, and then they won't be able to re-sign him.
Well, tell him not to take PEDs, and then we'll give him the money. Damn it. Follow the rules.
And the other thing is, too, Atlanta's interesting, right? Because coming into the season, we all talked about Atlanta being like, oh, they could be that team.
Yeah.
And Trey's made a leap, but the rest of that team really hasn't, right? I mean, Atlanta is the worst team in the Eastern Conference. They're one game. They're 13-38.
At least they have that new facility to enjoy.
I mean, they're terrible. Right?
Oh, and yeah, it's problematic.
And with Trey, with Herter, with DeAndre Hunter, with John Collins, with Cam Reddish, I mean...
Cam Reddish, ooh, forgot about him for a minute.
Yeah, so that should be a team that should start seeing some things improve. And Lloyd Pierce was actually here a couple weeks ago when they were playing the Nets, and he said something interesting, like, I didn't set any expectations for this team, and I thought that was an interesting thing to say. I was like, okay. The Hawks have too many blowouts. Like, they get blown out way too often.
Yes.
And they're too talented to get blown out the way they do. Look, I get
Agreed.
it. It's hard for young teams to win. We all know that. Like, it's a very difficult thing to do in this league. But with that kind of talent, I think they need to be a little bit better than they have been. So it'll be interesting to see if they're trying to get Capella. What are they signaling? Like, we want more of an adult presence in the locker room. Like, I'm not really sure what Capella does for them. Okay, he can roll with the rim and be a good pick and roll partner for Trey, but all right. I mean,
like, what's your end game with him?
What's your end game there?
Yeah,
and I just don't know. So it'll be interesting to see if the Hawks are serious and if indeed John Collins is on the trade block. I doubt it, but you never know.
Hey. Well, speaking of not a young core, let's talk about Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. They're both available on the Cavs, on the trade block, but comparison-wise, I mean, Tristan is a arguably worse player than Kevin Love, but he is more attainable.
Yes.
But Love is obviously better, but his contract is fat and he's injury prone. So, what could the move possibly be here? I mean, clearly the Cavs are,
So he's
not
so
doing
so
well.
so for Tristan, he's got 18.5 on, and this is it, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. So that's an expiring deal.
Yeah.
So he's much more attractive as a piece than Kevin Love is.
100%.
But again, limited in certain ways, right? Because he's not an offense. He's a rebounder, rim runner, defender.
Yeah.
Like
You
that's
want him
what
in the
right?
paint. You want him on
Exactly.
defense.
He can roll to the rim and do that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
other than that, limited.
Yeah.
Kevin Love can do more. But remember, we talk about that. He's got 3 years, $90 million or so left on his deal.
Woof.
Right. Woof is right. So who wants to absorb all that?
It's like a John Wall, we call it.
And I just don't know. But those guys are on the block. Tristan could help someone, Boston perhaps, but what would Boston have to give up to get him, right? Salaries, again, Marcus Smart, I don't know if they want to do
They're
that.
not
Right,
going to give him up.
the salary's got to match there, right? So I'm trying to think who else could use a defending, rim-running big. Could you do a but Houston wouldn't want that. They want to get under the luxury tax. There's a market for him somewhere. I'm just not sure where that is. Plus, look, you got that championship veteran experience with him. He listen, as I said, he can definitely help a team. Who that team is, we'll have to see. Denver too, by the way. I think we mentioned that, right? Like they're not for him, but they're a team that Utah. I'm thinking about Utah. Denver's a team that, again, they seem like they're one piece away. We mentioned them earlier. One, because you got Jokic, Michael Porter Jr. is going to be your bench guy. You got Jamal Murray. If you trade Beasley and Gary Harris or Gary Harris,
Yeah.
you need that other wing-ish scorer. It'll be interesting to see.
Hey, I mean, it definitely will be. I'm very intrigued to see how the Cavs deal these pieces that they have.
On the other one, of course, and we'll get to the social media part of that later, the Grizzlies and Andre Iguodala. Well, because he's valuable to someone, right? Philly, maybe even Denver.
I could see him fitting very well in Philly.
But again, what does Memphis want for Andre Iguodala?
I mean, oof.
And what is reasonable to expect for him?
Well, exactly. I mean, because you have that older veteran presence, but
Right,
what is Iguodala going to do on your team right now?
Right.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to get. But Denver could be, Iggy started he didn't start his career. He played in Denver after Philly. So, Denver could be a return spot for him. Who knows? He wants to go to a contender. We know that.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, he's got that mentality too. So
No, he knows how to play.
Yeah, Iggy's a good one. All right, let's move on to another top headline today. Knicks fires President Steve Mills, or in a nice way, they part ways. And General Manager Scott Perry will oversee basketball operations in the interim. So, again, James Dolan is still there, Knicks owner. And we hear in the rumor mill that they are targeting Toronto Raptors. This is a long time rumor. Their president, Masai Ujiri, who obviously famously got Kawhi,
Right.
took
Won
them to the championship, won them the chip, and so we hear it's not too far-fetched that he would at least consider hearing an offer from New York. What's your take?
Here's the thing, though. The Knicks aren't willing to give up draft compensation, which they'll have to do if they get Masai from Toronto. They don't want to do that, number one. So they've got to get into Masai's contract and break it and all that. A lot of rigmarole. Honestly, if I'm Masai, I want no part of this job. Like, I am good in Toronto. Like, they already opened up the bank for me. Yes, I get it. He wants to do stuff in Africa and open up more borders, and the Knicks' money and connections could be more helpful doing that from New York. I get all that. Listen, the world is already getting smaller and smaller with the advent of more technology. He's doing just fine with all that stuff in Toronto. Toronto's super cosmopolitan. If I'm him, I stay, because I don't know how you overcome some of the disadvantages that are already there in New York, namely the owner, right? So it's just that's that. Secondly, the Knicks, also that Woj and Shams are reporting, they say, okay, well, if we don't get Masai, our other plan is we want to go the same route that the Warriors and the Lakers did, which is we'll get an agent to be the head of our basketball operations. I mean, cool. Listen, it's worked in Golden State, seemingly like it's working in LA with the Lakers right now, but other teams have tried that. The Phoenix Suns tried that with Lon Babby. How'd that work out? The Detroit Pistons tried that with Arn Tellem. How's that working out? Right. So, I mean, it can work sometimes, but it can also not work. The name that they're throwing around is CAA's Austin Brown. And the thing about CAA is, so Austin, he represents Zion, D'Angelo Russell, Donovan Mitchell, Triple J, my guy, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Kyle Kuzma, and some other prominent players. The Knicks have always been sort of connected and linked to CAA all the way back to Carmelo, and one of the things where it's like, all right, CAA kind of like runs the ship and like pulls the strings behind the scenes. That may be all well and good. I don't know if this Austin Brown has any basketball operations experience. Clearly, he knows how to get top players to sign with him.
Yeah,
that's one thing, and maybe that's the next thing. They're like, we're not signing top free agents. Maybe we need to get somebody who speaks their language, like an agent. Good idea, but you still have to sell them on the culture. And is the culture what these people want?
And the thing is, when it boils down to being a team, being a franchise, especially the New York Knicks, and selling people on the culture, as we've seen with the Brooklyn Nets, selling the culture is hard. Selling the culture takes time. The Nets spent how many seasons building that culture with D'Lo and kind of developing it into, the Karis LeVert-led team and, the Spencer Dinwiddie-led team. So when you're building that culture, you need to actually build that culture and establish it. You can't just say, we're this, we're going to get this, we're going to get that, because look what happens when you promise empty promises.
Look, right? I mean, and all the Knicks fans on my timeline getting so excited, we're going to get Masai. And I'm like, you also thought you were getting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
That didn't really work out.
Well, at least they came to New York somewhere.
So I just, again, Austin Brown may be good. And I get the idea. Let's get someone who is a current agent who has those relationships. Okay, good, but still, what are you selling them on in New York? What is the culture?
Exactly. And here's the thing that I see that's really interesting, too, with the Knicks right now. They're in a very interesting position, too, because you get rid of Coach Fizdale, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Our record is still 15-36. So then you get rid of Mills. So now what's going to happen? I mean, we're already at All-Star break for the most part.
Right.
So what changes are going to happen here that are going to be so groundbreaking that it's going to turn the Knicks around? And I'm not shit-talking. I genuinely root for the Knicks, and I'm asking valid questions. I mean, I work.
Yeah, you work for them.
With them, for
the
them. Yeah. So I'm asking just valid questions as to, what is the next move? I want to see them prosper. New York is the perfect destination for a big-time star. I just wish these stars would want to come here more. And that just is going to take a lot of pieces coming into play. It's not just one thing that they're missing.
It's changing that whole culture. And again, they're also still involved with trade talks, right? Is Bobby Portis on the move? Is Frank Ntilikina on the move? Are they trying to get? Do they want to get D'Angelo Russell? Who, again, with this Austin Brown connection, is that something that they could do? What would they possibly have that the Golden State Warriors would want? So again, these are the things you got to start looking at. And are the Knicks going to go down that road, or will they start trading away draft picks again and all their young talent and Mitchell Robinson and Kevin Knox? Right? Do you say, okay, R.J. Barrett's the only one untouchable? Everybody else, who knows, right? And so that's kind of where we're at right now with this team. I would say not surprising that this move happened because, sounds Knicksy to me.
Man.
Sounds Knicksy to me.
I can't. Oh, my God. Okay.
Sounds Knicksy.
Knicksy. I love it. All right. Let's go to a lighter topic because you know what time it is. It is Dame time.
Woo, boy.
All right. This man is, as Stephen A. Smith would say, he is bad. He is a bad man. And you know what I have to say, too? This is going to be like the little, praise of Damian Lillard for me right now.
We got time.
Always loved Dame. Interviewed him before. A nice, incredibly intelligent man. Very intelligent. He is playing some of the best basketball we've ever seen. He's averaging what? He's shooting like insane percentages from the field. He is knocking down shots. He's knocking down what? 50-point, 60-point games, like it's no big deal.
In his last 10 games, these are Damian Lillard's averages.
Tell.
41.6 points per game, 9.3 assists per game. His shooting splits, 52, 50, and 87. That is insane.
It is insane because
52% from the field, 50 from 3, 87 from the line. Portland is 7-3 in those last 10 games.
And the thing with Dame is, and he's not, pulling off his jersey, pulling a Ja Morant, saying, tell this mother effer who I am. He just doesn't do that. He just performs and that's it. And you know what?
Well, except when he plays Russ.
True. But let's not mistake the competitiveness for hate, as the both of them have said.
No hate. It's just pure competition.
Exactly. And that's what I like about two veterans going head-to-head like that, because after the game, although, I want to kill you on the court, in the post-game, it's like, good game, chop it up. Yeah, I'll meet you again.
At least you're trying to compete.
And the thing with Dame is he's putting up these numbers while almost, I can probably confirm, cooking up a great album in the meantime. So, did you hear that new song that he dropped, weeks back?
No.
Oh, my gosh. It was like, I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's on my Spotify playlist, to be honest with you. It's like, he had CJ McCollum in the video, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, throwing money and shit. I was like, I got dollars I can contribute, maybe quarters, but, that's about it. And then I didn't make the video, so what's up. But, it's rough out here in these streets. But for real, let's talk about Dame. Top 5?
Okay. Top 5 is a very difficult thing for me to just give up
Hell yeah,
to
because I almost
people.
fought you over Kobe a couple weeks ago. So let's not even go there.
I don't think he's quite top 5, but he's right in that next group. He's top 10 for sure.
Keeps playing like this, though.
He might be 6 or 7, right? Like, he's right there. Because I would still take Giannis, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Harden, Kawhi. I still take those guys.
Think about all the guys that you named, too, which unfortunately already claimed the spot over Dame just with their height alone.
Well, that's the big thing, right?
So he's a little guy.
Yeah.
No offense. But, and you know what they say about
it's
little guys in this league.
Well, it's what I say.
That's what I'm saying. You know what you say. Not what Jarod says.
It's not when two quote unquote smalls are your number one engines on offense. I wonder how far that can take you in the postseason. Mm-hmm. Just because it's harder for little guys to score in this league as the series go on and things get tighter and tighter and tighter.
I've been struggling my whole life.
Jesus. There's a reason why the last several NBA champions have had a win MVP, because you need a dude who's tall enough who can't get trapped and the ball taken out of their hands and all that. And that's something you can do with smalls. And so, but all that being said, Dame is phenomenal. 27.3 PER, highest of his career. 62.8 true shooting percentage, also the highest of his career. 56.2 effective field goal. 9.6 offensive box score plus minus, which basically means per 100 possessions, he is worth 9 more points above an average NBA player. That is crazy. He's playing incredible basketball right now. And again, they can, because we love Memphis. Memphis is young. Portland's been in playoff battles and they've been tested before. They can make a move. If they get Nurk back, if they may make a move, may not. They may just keep Whiteside, do what they're doing. They proved they can go on, streaks and win 8, 10, 12 in a row. And listen, all Memphis has got to do is stumble, lose 4 out of 5, and it'll be hard for them to grasp it back from Portland if they leapfrog.
Exactly, and good point, too. Portland's missing key players that play integral roles in their wins. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see the comeback of that and see how it works out.
I love what Dame's doing right now. And listen, if he continues on this torrid streak right now and Luka and or Harden falter a little, Dame about to be first team All NBA. I mean, so he's playing that well. He's playing that well. So kudos to Damian Lillard, Portland Trailblazers. Listen, him and CJ McCollum, I love those guys. And Dame's loyal, right? Dame's, he said it. He wants to try to win it in Portland where
Kid
he's
loves
at.
Portland.
He's not trying to join up and do whatever. And, I do want to say this, and this isn't shade at Dame. It's just a statement. It's easy to have that kind of attitude and perspective about I'm going to win it here in Portland because no one expected Dame to win a championship. So if he doesn't win one, no one's going to be like, oh,
yeah,
that's not. He didn't come into the league with that kind of fanfare.
Nope, and never changed that mentality.
So anything that he's done at this stage of his career is all gravy because he may have expected himself to do that, but there were no. It's not like he was LeBron or Zion now or Kevin Durant or these people who were like, nah, you better win chips, dude.
Yeah.
No one expected that. So he can have that mentality of, all right, I'm going to stay here, try to grind it out and win. And listen, things get right and things broke well for them last year and they got lucky and they were able to advance to the conference finals. But as I said to everybody, I was like, they're not really a true conference finals team.
You have said that.
And we're kind of seeing them now.
But also, too, with that experience of going, that definitely changes you, too, as a player. So I think that makes Dame more even hungry to make it there at that point. But, like you said, he never came into the league as that guy. He never pretended to be that guy. He doesn't pretend to be that guy. To be honest, maybe he's a Twilight fan. Wasn't that filmed in Portland? I mean,
I mean, don't get it twisted. Dame is a competitor and thinks he can win one.
100%.
And that's what he's going to shoot for. And kudos to him and kudos to what they're doing out in Portland.
Hey, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Now, let's talk a little bit about a few quick things that were rolling around the internet this week because it was too funny. Let's talk about Serge Ibaka and OG Anunoby going at it playfully about fashion. Basically, long story short, if you guys did not catch it, OG tried to tell Ibaka that he basically can take all the credit for his fashion sense.
We're gonna play the video right now, courtesy of the Uninterrupted, but it's hilarious.
Exactly. And okay, first of all, Serge Ibaka, the guy is so sweet and kind. When I saw this reaction,
you would die, right?
I was like losing it.
Let's play this to the people, and then we'll talk about it. This is Serge and OG. They're doing something for the undefeated. They're shopping, talking about fashion, and here we go.
So do you think because you come from London, that's why you're good at fashion?
Probably a little bit. I was born with it. I think it just happened.
Well, I know me and you are different style.
No, we have the same style.
No, we're on the same style.
We have the same style. I put you on how to dress.
You put me on?
Yeah. You know I did. I put you on Valentino.
Right.
Put you on denim jackets.
OG.
Balenciaga
Stop,
ones.
OG. You better stop, OG.
I put you on Heron Preston.
OG, you say you put me in fashion. Wow.
Your Balenciaga
I think I'm done here. I'm done. I'm done.
I put you on scarves.
You know what we done here today, OG?
But did I put you on scarves?
You say you put me in fashion, then we done today.
What about scarves? But what about scarves?
OG, I'm telling you, if you say it,
but what about scarves?
You put me in fashion, then I'm done.
But what about scarves?
I guess I'm done.
But what about scarves?
I guess I'm done.
But what about scarves?
What do you mean about scarf, OG?
You saw me with my scarf. You're like, that scarf's fire. I'm gonna get one too. And you got one. And next time when I was wearing mine, you had one too. You act like you did it first. But I had the scarf first.
Wait, OG, let me tell you something, okay? This is your second years in the league. Third year in the league.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been in the scarf game 10 years now.
You haven't though.
Yes. 1 and 2, OG. I don't dress, man.
But you saw me with my scarf.
OG, I don't dress, OG. I do art, bro.
But you saw me with my scarf.
Tell me please. You know I do art, right?
I like my scarves a lot. And you copied that.
You got me sweating whenever. Do you think because you come from
that...
The funniest part about that is, OG, no. OG, no.
Wait. So everybody knows this, right? If you've ever been into an argument with somebody, right? And it's a tactic that people always use. They just keep saying the same thing over and over, and it drives the other person insane. And all OG kept saying is, "What about scarves? What about scarves?" And Serge was getting so heated. He was like,
"We're done. We're done here."
He was like, and then when Serge said, OG, I don't dress. I do art.
Too good. I'm sorry. Serge Ibaka can quit basketball tomorrow and he will have a fine ass career on the goddamn internet. Literally, he is an influencer of our generation right now.
They're hilarious, man. Like
So
Raptors are
funny.
fun. We had 2 quick minutes with OG Anunoby a couple weeks back.
Yes.
OG's a good guy. Serge is great. Oh man, I love when these athletes do fun things on
the best.
their platforms and just engage and show a little bit of their style. And it's, you know, as much as I would love them to do that with us as members of the media, you know, there's a little bit of a wall they have up around us.
Of course.
So it's nice that they have that with their teammates and they can just kind of let loose. And OG's really just like, but what about scarves though? But what about scarves?
Oh my God, I was
But
dying.
what about scarves? And he's like, OG, if you say what?
Literally the same thing. OG. And I was waiting for him to say something else, and it was just OG. At one point, I looked down to see if it was like flickering, like the video. I was like,
to,
is
like,
this
clip it?
repeating? Like,
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
so good.
And hey, and the Toronto Raptors, as we talked about,
Doing much better than anybody thought that they would.
well, not me.
Oh yeah, you over here with
Well,
your goddamn facts.
Actually, I don't know that I picked them to be number 2 seed, but I said they would make the playoffs because I said, look, they still got Pascal, all that. I mean, the Raptors are playing well.
It's fun.
36-14. I mean, they have two
Kyle.
all-stars, Kyle and
Kyle.
Pascal Siakam, first time all-star for Pascal.
So happy for him.
Yeah, no,
so
they're
happy.
kudos to what's going on in Toronto and all the good times in that locker room.
Facts. Let's go to the 6. All right. Now, let's go down to Memphis because
Woo!
we got to talk about, what is it? Second-year guy, Ja Morant.
No, rookie.
Rookie. Rookie. Lighting up the internet. First of all, he drops so many points on Harden, says, tell this effing man who I am. At first, I was like, yo, this kid's about to get jumped somewhere in this league. Then he comes out, and now he's joining this smack talk conversation about Andre Iguodala. Now, let me set this up for you guys a little bit here, okay? Andre Iguodala, part of the Memphis Grizzlies, has not played.
Right.
Now, he basically will probably plan to sit out for the rest of his sitting campaign until he is traded, according to David Aldridge of The Athletic. But now, following Monday's game against the Pistons, teammate Dylan Brooks calls him out, okay? And he basically says, quote, I can't wait until we find a way to trade him so we can play him and show him really what Memphis is about. Bro, this man is sitting 2 seats down from you right now.
Well, he's not even there because he doesn't even. He didn't even report to the.
But
the
still.
team. I think what it is.
And then Ja agrees, basically. Puts a little emoji out there. Then Steph jumps in it. Andre Iguodala's old teammate.
And Instagram stories and puts the emoji, don't say anything.
Yup. Steph's out here with his Twitter fingers, a.k.a. 9, because he's hurting with the one.
And then what does Ja do? Ja puts up a picture of Kevin Durant with the MVP trophy.
Greatest comeback I've ever seen. Ja Morant's incredible.
Listen, okay.
What the hell, man?
Let's go here first. I understand Dylan Brooks and the guys at Memphis' feelings about this because they're like, look, we know you want to play for a contender, but we're in the 8th seed right now. Like,
fight. Let's fight.
You don't want to come rock with us? Like, we're balling right now.
Yeah.
Like, you, Andre Iguodala of the 11 PER fame, who averages like 2 points a game. I mean, what?
Shit.
I mean, you don't want to come rock with us? All right. We know you won chips, but my man, you on the downside of your career. Like,
yeah, like embrace the damn youth.
Show us some of that winning DNA. You don't want to.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Teach us, educate us, be a Vince to us.
Help us out. You don't want to do that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I hear Dylan Brooks' thing. I love that energy about like, when we hope we trade him, so when we play him, we'll show you how good we are. Cool. I loved Steph just being like, shh, don't say anything, like whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then again, Ja with the classic clap back. The picture of KD getting the Finals MVP trophy. Of course, the dig being Steph Curry has 3 championship rings, but 0 Finals MVPs. Hey, listen, Steph fans, say whatever you want. I'm just stating facts, right?
The way I see it, though, like in a perfect world in my mind, in the saga of the NBA that plays in my mind, like the soap opera, as opposed to real life.
Yeah,
I see like Iguodala being like, "Yo, bro," like to Steph, like I'm getting buried. Like tweet something out, put something on the gram, back your boy up. As soon as he saw that pic, he was like, "Do something." Steph does it, and and he's like, yo, I got you.
Except
like,
the
this
problem
is what I see
is
going on.
But you know what it's more like? Here's the problem, though, Jenna. Steph's a little bit older, right? Like he's 30, 31. You ain't gonna win no Instagram or Twitter wars with these young 20-year-olds, man. They're gonna kill you with these memes. You're not winning these.
Talk that talk.
You're not, you know? And so literally, he just what a classic clapback by Ja Morant.
That was incredible.
And it's funny because all the Steph fans are like, oh, Steph's gonna drop 50 on Ja next time he sees him.
When is
And
that
look,
again?
He might. But here's what's great about Morant. Morant ain't scared. And he said it.
He reminds me, I hate to say it and bring it up right now, he reminds me of Kobe.
In many ways.
Young Kobe.
In that, I have zero back down.
Oh, yeah. I give 0 Fs. Let's go.
I mean, you saw when he dunked on him. Look, and Ja responded because people were saying, you better delete that as disrespectful, whatever. And he said, delete it for what? If you scroll down my Twitter, you'll see me talking about Curry a lot. Probably some other players too. I was a fan and still a fan, but I ain't scared of him. And that is Ja Morant.
And he said it like in a funny way. That I ain't scared.
Right.
I ain't scared.
That's his whole ethos, though.
Yeah.
He has a respect for all these guys and what they accomplish, but he's like, I'm coming too. Like,
Yep.
I'm on this. I'm not afraid.
And another reason why I love Ja, too, is because he came into the league. A lot of people down him. He's small. He's scrawny. He's this. He's that. He can't get the job done.
He tries to kill people.
Exactly. He comes in here and he's like, I'm going to prove all y'all wrong. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Again, what I love about him is, again, and that's what you're saying, it's that's how Kobe was when he came into the league.
It's a nice
zero
reminder.
back down.
Mm-hmm. That tough.
It's because you have so much belief in yourself.
That's the thing.
That I belong on this stage and I could play with these people, right?
His confidence alone.
When he hit that step back on Harden, tell that MFer about me, right? Like, apparently he didn't read the scouting report. I could hit that shot too.
If I ever hit a shot over Harden, I would run off the court. I'd be like, listen, I'm scared. I'm sorry.
It's wonderful to see it, and I think
it's
that
nice to see a young blood like that.
That whole spirit he has is a big reason, along with Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, as we mentioned, of why that young Memphis team is doing what they're doing right now.
I like it a lot. Definitely a unexpected surprise from Memphis,
Yeah,
but I like what I see, and I think it can only get better. They're going to obviously build this team around Ja. And the sky's the limit for this kid at this point. So I'm really excited about that. Super fun, though, this back and forth banter. And obviously, we all know at the end of the day, it's most likely playful, but it is goddamn fun. So, we had to touch upon those quick hits. But yeah, I mean, guys, stay in tune with the 7-footers. February 6th, trade deadline.
Absolutely.
So we will be updating you guys on all of that. And we will be at All-Star Weekend.
Yeah. So next week, we'll have one more episode before we leave for Chicago. And then we'll have a bunch of podcasts, video. Jenna's going to be taking over our Instagram feed. Yeah. Doing all the live stuff. It's going to be crazy. You guys definitely want to stay tuned to all that.
Yes.
7-Footers Podcast, you know where to find us. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemoncelli. I want to give a quick shout out to Unu Heritage. And Donovan, who runs that company over there. This is the sweatshirt I'm wearing. Some call it basketball. I call it therapy.
This is weird. I don't get one.
Shout out to Donovan at Unu Heritage. If you guys want to check out their cool merch, head over to unuheritage.store and you can get all of their cool merchandise. And we'll share some more information about them.
Yes, and guys, throughout next week, be sure to follow us, especially on Instagram. As Jarod said, I'll be definitely taking over a lot and be tuning in to see some of your favorite NBA players and stars. Giving shout outs on the gram.
Super behind the scenes. You'll be like, what are these dudes doing? No, it'll be good.
We are taking you guys into every event with us, every party.
Much as
there's certain times where your girl signs off the gram when she getting buck wild a little bit here. But before the lights go down, tune in because your favorite players and everybody around the league will be shouting out, coming straight to you from the 7-Footers
no doubt
Instagram account. So stay tuned.
Indeed.
Deuces.
Peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't here back. I don't wanna trap, what's a man gonna do? Chevy told me come through to the spot. Got a little kickback, bring the whole crew. Right around 10, came dressed in the nines. You already know what we really finna do when we pull up on the scene. Pull up on the scene, pull up on the scene. Yeah, we pull up on the scene. See, my life is a movie. Pull up on the scene, did it so smoothly. Pull up on the scene. Mario Kart when I'm out on the road. Only out for peaches and getting that cream. Cash rules, everything except me.